Hi, this is Tony Reid with Tap Out Magazine, here with Mr. Michael McDonald, not the singer, the kick-ass professional fighter. How's it going, man?
Going good, thank you.
Good, good. Thanks for stopping. I know you're here, kind of running around. I appreciate you taking the time with us here. So we're showing some random stuff. You came from a fighting family with you and both of your brothers, Justin and Brad, fighting as well. You grew up in a large piece of land, I read, with few people outside of your immediate family close to you. So, which fighter fights with your brothers were the most memorable growing up? Are there one or two stories that stand out above the others?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think probably the most fun and the most memorable one. Me and my little brother, we had when we were little, we were just bored all the time. Didn't have anything to do out in the country, so we got 2 sweaters and we put it around our waist. We ruined the sweaters, but our head was through the neck hole. And then so we wore them as skirts, and we took the sleeves and tied them to each other. And then we put boxing gloves on and sweater tied boxing. And that was when we were, I think, I was like, I don't know, 8, he was like 6. And then we watched that, and then we did number 2. And we videotaped it, put it on the same tape. And then for the second one, it was round 2. 10 years later.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Funny.
A couple years ago, did the same thing, and now both of us professional fighters. It was cool.
Maybe you guys can get it on in the octagon, have the first sweater fight. I don't know how that would work out. Maybe ask Dana about that. All right. So, being a non-denominational Protestant Christian in the public eye, what is the main message you would like to get out to the masses about that? And as a follow-up, what's been the biggest obstacle to overcoming your goal to spread the word and spread your particular message? Have there been people that are kind of like standoffish to it or kind of cool to it?
I think the biggest thing that I've seen is those self-righteous Christians. They ruin it for all of us.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
I get a lot of people who are hurt, have been hurt by Christians, and from what I've seen, that usually seems to be the stem of why people are just about Christians. It's usually because the people preaching about don't look at other women, then they have dancers in their rooms, and then they people say be gentle with your wives and your husband. You go and then they're beating around their family and stuff like that. Self-righteous people telling you going to hell. It really turns people off. It creates animosity towards Christians in general because they think everyone's like that. And I think the biggest message that I've been trying to get across is God and people are very different things. A lot of times we're the only Jesus people see, and they think that where's your God in Libya? Where's your God in Connecticut? All this kind of crap like that, and even the sound of God just pisses people off.
Yeah.
And that's been the biggest thing that I've seen, and you see a lot of it coming up. I'll even just post something like 5 minutes ago. I just responded to somebody. I posted something about our God being God of miracles, and someone saying, where's your God in Africa? People getting hacked up on machetes. So that's been my biggest hurdle and my biggest goal all in one, is trying to get that through to people and trying to be going about it gentle, not beating it into people, but just saying, I'm sorry for the people that have wronged you, the people that have made you feel this way about Christians.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, when religion and professional athletes are kind of mixed or using the same sentence, Tim Tebow will come to mind. It's bound to pop up as almost like a comparison or a benchmark. How do you feel? I'm sure you've gotten that a little bit. It seems like that is kind of par for the course. What are your thoughts on Tim and maybe certain comparison with you and him being young athletes in the public eye? Do you get that at all?
I think it's a very courageous thing that he's doing, and that he has done. I know it's difficult to stay true to yourself, to stay grounded when you got people looking at you. People want to throw you things. Nothing's for free. It's very tempting.
Yeah.
It's very misleading.
Yeah. Everyone has ulterior motives.
Exactly.
Face value type of thing.
It's very difficult for someone to stay grounded when people are throwing everything at you. They're throwing money, and girls, and fame, and all this kind of things. They're just throwing them at you, and it's very respectable but difficult thing that he's done, because he's doing it on a level that I don't have that kind of exposure, you know. And with that, you know, the blessing, the good things you get to do, you get equal people who hate you, you know. So
we're trying to do right and be a decent person. Yeah, that's interesting. So with the fight of the night bonus, it's about $55 grand you won after the Ultimate Fight Night 24. You gave a large portion of it, about $30,000, to your parents to pay off debt, which again is something very commendable. I'm not sure how many people know that. But that's just, I read that, it was an awesome thing. It's a pretty amazing thing to do. Talk about your parents and their influence during your childhood and your relationship with them to this day.
My parents, complete opposites.
Yeah.
My dad, the hardest working man I've ever met, but literally has broken his body for our family. Even when there wasn't any money, we didn't know it. You know, I still had a Christmas. Every Christmas I had presents under that tree. Every birthday I had a birthday, and making sure that we had that life. You know, we didn't live it up. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't foolish. It was just a normal life, and they did everything they could. They sacrificed themselves to do that. And my mom, being the sweetest lady I ever met in my life, you know, always with us. Every time we were at home, my mother was home. She didn't work because she raised us. They sacrificed a lot, and I figured that was the very least that I could do after everything that they've done for me. They've sacrificed themselves, broken their bodies for me, making sure we had a life. Just to take it away.
That was awesome. So you were competing in smokers and other amateur fights as early as 14 years of age. What do you remember about competing at that age? I'm assuming you were competing against pretty much grown men. Like, what were your response when you're 14 getting in the cage to see the guy who might be 25, 20, 30 years old on your side?
I was just thinking about... I don't know. I didn't think about it much. I just thought about... I guess you could say what made me fall in love with MMA wasn't exactly the right thing. What made me fall in love with it is competition and proving myself and showing people that I'm good. That's why I started it, and that's why I wanted to fight, because in the gym I was just as good as other people. They were getting recognition, they were going out and winning, and I wanted that. That's what made me initially go to MMA, which definitely got corrected. But that's what got me there at first, and that's what was on my mind. What's crazy is my mother. You know, my mother and my father, you know, hey mom, I want to fight against grown men. I'm 14 years old. Yeah, have fun. You know. And then at 16, you know, mom, I'm 16 years old. I want to fight professionally and get in the cage with grown men and see if I can beat them up. And, okay, sign the waiver for me.
Yeah,
go off to the Indian reservation.
That's where they all took place back in the day.
Yeah,
the Indian reservation. So starting in the game at such an early age, like we just discussed, did you ever have a real job? And so if you weren't a professional mixed martial artist, what would you be doing for a living right now? I guess those two kind of coincide. Have you had a real job, and if not, what do you ever wonder what you would be doing right now?
Good question. I've done some smaller things. I remember when I was, I think I'm probably like 18 years old, I didn't have anything to do. I had some extra time, and I worked for the Census Bureau for a little bit. That was just, okay, I'll just put in an application, and I got it. Okay, whatever. get my own hours, so that's cool. But other than that, no, fighting's been my main job my whole life. I've never had to. When I had this surgery, I have a big old scar now. It looks like I got bit by a shark.
Yeah.
But when I had this, it's been almost a year since I've been able to fight, and you know, being off at my own place, I'm a woodworker. I do woodworking and fine furniture and stuff like that, cabinetry, and I picked up some jobs. I was doing that as primarily. That was my main job for a while I had this. But if I was not fighting, I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I know I definitely.
It's one of those things you just haven't had to think about, you know, to this point. It's not top of mind. That's interesting. So, if you could choose one fight from your career that every MMA fan should see, obviously people are starting to know you now. You're becoming a pretty big name in the sport, top 5, top 10 in the world. Of course, we know that on the cusp of the title shot, if things go right. What one fight so far would be the one fight you kind of hang your hat on? Like, this is the fight I would want people to see if they can see one fight.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they all have something special and something different. Each fight to me has been a milestone, and each one has its own messages. Fighting to me is very spiritual, and even in all my fights, there's something that stuck out that, why did that happen that way? You know, each one of my fights has been, I guess you could say, a message and a gift from God in my eyes. Sorry, this phone's going crazy. Okay. I think the best thing I can say is just my personal favorite. I would say that my personal favorite fight was the second fight with Tebow. I got the Tachi Palace championship. It was my only loss. I came back after getting the crap kicked out of me the first fight, coming back and winning convincingly. I did some wrestling. I did a little bit of jiu-jitsu. I did striking. I'd say that one probably.
Very cool. So hypothetical here, of course. If you could fight anyone in any weight class, who are you choosing to fight and why? Whether it be out of respect, who you want to test your skills against? Is there anyone out there like, man, if he was a bantam or I was a fly or he was a light heavy, or, is there anyone out there like, man, I would just love to?
Oh man.
In a different world, who would I like to get in there with?
Never been asked that question.
That's what I try and do. I try to ask stuff that you haven't already answered 100 times. You know?
Wow. I love testing myself as a martial artist. I love putting my martial arts to test. To me, it's not about, oh, I'm going to kill this guy, or I want to beat him up, or something like that. Or it's not even to me about the, oh, if the media knew that I beat this guy. No one has to be there when I fight. It's not about that to me. If I could do my job and no one know my name, I'd be happy with that. The only reason why I value the publicity is because I get to build a platform for God. But other than that, it's not about that. It's just about, I want to test myself as a martial artist. And if I had to choose one person that I say I want to test myself, I'd want to test it against Anderson Silva. Everyone says that he is the best fighter in the world, and he's not primarily an athlete. I consider myself primarily a martial artist, the same way he does. And I love testing my martial arts, and I would love to test my martial arts in the same way.
Nice. How would you see that fight playing out?
Oh man, very technical. Very technical. Like I said, everything to me is it's about martial arts. It's not about athleticism. It's about strategy. It's about the way my mind works, the way I do things. Anyone can do it, and it can be taught. A mind can be molded. It can be customized, changed. And the way I fight and the way that I do things, anybody can do it. I'm not a physical specimen. It's just the way that I do it and the way that my technique is placed. So it'd be a very technical battle, like the game of inches.
Yeah, interesting. Obviously, you see yourself coming out on top, I would assume.
I never think that far, actually.
Yeah.
Even when fighting Henning Barao or anybody that I fought, I never think that far. It's not about, I can, because then you get into the emotions. Emotions clouds judgment. So I don't think about the emotions. All I think about is, I think I can. I want to see if I can.
Like the choo-choo. I think I can.
Exactly. And it has to be that for me, because if I am thinking about winning, I'm setting myself up for failure. I'm not going to win every single one. And even if I do, it'll corrupt you. If you're looking forward to that win, if you look forward to the win, it changes you. You view yourself differently. You're not the same person anymore. So I don't think about the win. It's just about martial arts and testing myself.
Very cool. Very cool. So we kind of touched on it a bit. I think we covered it, but I'll ask anyway. Who are the people that inspire you most, whether it be personally, professionally, a combination? There are a few people I know we touched on your parents a little bit. Are there other people that inspire you to do what you do, to get out of bed in the morning, that type of thing?
More than anything, I'd probably have to say my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be together for a long time, and I want to be able to give both of us a good life. And it's not just me on the line; it's her too. You know, it's her future. And if I don't do anything with myself, if I'm a bum, it affects her too. I think more than anything, that motivates me to get up, go do things. But if I had to say like a historical figure, of course Jesus is an inspiration. But I model myself more. But the biggest inspiration, aside from my girlfriend, I would have to say is King David. I see a lot of similarities in the way he lived his life and the way that I lived my life, and he was a man after God's heart, and he wasn't he was mentioned more times in the Bible than anybody, even than Jesus, and yet he was a murderer. He was a sexually broken man. He was a warrior. He wasn't even big enough to join the military because he was small. But he was a strategist. He knew his art. He did it very well. He didn't say, "Give me what everyone else has." He didn't change himself. I don't want the armor. I'm the best. I'm the best in the world with a sling, and I'll test my God-given skills against anyone on earth. And I feel like that's the way that I do mine. Is I don't want what everyone else is doing. I have what I do, and I'm not going to change it for anybody. I'm taking my gifts, my blessings to God. That's it.
Very cool. Very cool. So we've covered a lot of stuff here. What is the one thing about Michael McDonald that has yet to be covered in an interview, or I'm sure certain things have been covered to death. Is there anything that people would be surprised with? Oh my God, that or because I'm sure you get the same questions over and over in certain interviews. Okay, this is my last fight. This is my next fight. What else is there? You know what I mean? Is there any one thing you're like, one little nugget or anything where it's like, it would be interested to hear?
I don't know, but I guess this is something I haven't really talked a whole lot about. But I'm very involved in, I guess you could say, self-progression. I'm very involved with my church program. I really respect anything about self-progression and people not being satisfied with, just the way that things are and wanting to improve themselves. I'm actually, I don't go to it, but I'm actually a big fan of like Alcoholics Anonymous, just self-progression, becoming a better person, of psychology. I want to be a counselor one day. Primarily, I want to be a marriage counselor one day. I feel like relations is what I do well. So I'm very big on self-progression. I'm involved in a church program at my church. It's called Sober Recovery. It's even similar to kind of like 12 steps and stuff like that. It's just about self-progression, becoming closer with God, becoming a better person all around, being happier, more at peace with yourself. And I think doing something so chaotic as fighting and not knowing when I'm going to get paid, how much I'm going to get paid, not knowing if I'm a job tomorrow, every time I go up, someone else goes down, or they go up, I go down. It's a very chaotic lifestyle, and you need peace when you're doing something that crazy.
Yeah. An interesting side of that, I have a very good friend, a UFC fighter. He's a religious man, family man, and he got a lot of pushback from the church he happens to go to. Do you deal with that at all, as far as people not quite understanding, not quite getting it, as far as the members of your church or things along those lines?
I have. I think my old church that I went to, the pastor was my uncle. Very influential man in my life, and he didn't really agree with it. I've had people who don't really agree or don't understand, but I've never had anybody who say, "Oh, you can't be here," or anything like that. They've always been accepting, even when they don't understand. The church that I'm at now is very supportive. Even the head pastor, he was like,
he's a fan. He gets the pay-per-views.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, need someone to go to London to carry your bag?"
Nice.
So my church is very supportive on it now. It's a like you said earlier, it's a non-denominational, grace-based church. So they're very supportive.
Awesome. I think that's all I have. Is there anything you want to say before we sign off? I know we covered a lot of ground. Is there anything we didn't cover that you want to throw out there?
I was just thinking about waving to some dude over there. I think that's pretty much it. I'm just, this whole fighting thing, it's not what other people are doing it for. This to me is a job. I don't care about the titles. I don't care about fame or anything else. To me, this is my job, and to be truthful about it, I hate it a lot of times. It's very stressful. What keeps me here, what keeps me in this is, for one, as my job, being able to provide a living for me and my future family, and martial arts. Martial arts keeps me grounded, and if it weren't for martial arts, I'd quit in a heartbeat. I love that my office is that, and that I get to go every day and expand my mind and and train it, and the brotherhood you get there, and the feeling from, you know, battling with another brother. You know, it's wonderful. So my love is in martial arts, and that's what keeps me doing this job.
Very, very good. I lied. I have one more question. Who do you have this weekend? JDS, Kane, who do you think?
I'm gonna go with Junior Dos Santos. I'm very big on technique and martial arts. I'm not one for athleticism. I think Kane is definitely a better athlete than Junior Dos Santos, but I take apart martial arts in inches and technique, technical defense, technical power. I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but your power is not something that is just God-given and that's it. It's something that can be learned. Everything that I do and the way I do it can be learned, it can be molded, it can be changed. And I see technical defense and technical power leaning on the side of Junior Dos Santos.
Yeah, that makes sense. So there you have it. There's his pick, Junior Dos Santos. Mr. Michael McDonald, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Tony Reid, Tap Out Magazine, signing off.